Oh my goodness, guys. Before I get started with talking about the AUB and Moroni Jessop, I need to show you this video that absolutely terrified the shit out of me. What the heck? I thought that this was like a Star Wars video, and this was like a bunch of stormtroopers coming at you in like a weird walking stance, and it turns out it's literally a freaking lemur. A lemur! I never there's so much I could say about lemurs. And my Puerto Rican grandmother had a monkey in our basement who she called a Kikachu. And I'm pretty sure he was a lemur. He escaped from a zoo nearby. It's a really complicated and convoluted story that I don't have time to tell you right now. But anyway, the point being that he was definitely scary. Like, all the pictures I've seen of him down in the basement have absolutely terrified me. And now I've seen this video and I'm like, oh my God, lemurs are like the devil. But just for a quick palate cleanser, let me show you this other video I found of lemurs that made me feel like a little bit better. Here we go.
Oh, sure. Harun dai kerek. Oh, sure. Okay.
Okay, so it made me feel better until the end, though, because then at the end I'm like, okay, so now not only are they scary, but they're directing us in how to pet them, right? So something's wrong. Something's off. If you're a lemur fan, unsubscribe because I can't. All right, let's get started. Welcome down the rabbit hole, friends. It's so nice to see you again. Where have I been for the past 2 weeks? I wish I could tell you all about it. Sometimes I wish I could take you with me on my life's journey that takes many twists and turns down many different rabbit holes. For those of you who want to skip ahead and just hear about Moroni, please skip to the time listed below. For my regular subscribers, you know that a week ago, I ended my full-time job as a nurse here at a clinic in Kuala Lumpur because we are getting ready to transition. And in the next 2 weeks, I'll be starting the complete pack out of our house and the transition of moving my kids back to the United States for the next year. It's a huge undertaking. And because I've done it so many times before, I'm really suffering from deja vu. And it's not the good kind of deja vu. It's the kind of situation where you're like, I don't want to do this all over again. I've done it way too many times before. Last Friday, when it was my final day of work, I had such a great time. Oh, I wish I could show you guys. I made some videos about all the shenanigans I've had at work but I can't show you because I don't want to overstep any privacy boundaries within my job. But anyway, suffice it to say, I made some really cool videos that we all had a ton of laughs about. And it was so hard to say goodbye to all my local friends, my sisters from another mister who I'll remember for the rest of my life and hopefully always keep in touch with. They have made my life better in so many ways. But on Friday, when my full day of work was finally done and I traveled back home, I literally hit a big brick wall. Walking into my apartment and just feeling like everything kind of hit me all at once. It's sort of like I've been running a marathon for the past 2 years, doing everything I can to keep everything together, hold up my kids, my husband, myself, keep my job going. I've been running a marathon on empty for a long time, and it hit me like a brick. I needed a break. I had to take a break from YouTube, from my kids, from everything around me for at least a few days. Some of you who have been with me for a while also know that I do have Crohn's disease, and in times of stress, it can get really bad for me. So I was also sick, pretty sick for a few days as well. I'm hoping that's not going to be an ongoing issue for me as we head forward with this move, but it is something that I deal with from time to time. So I've been off of YouTube and staying quiet for the most part, though I've been making really funny videos and sending them to my friends back home as I work on reconnecting with everyone. I can't wait to get back there. So with all of that being said, I'm so glad to see you here again tonight so that I can share with you some updates about, first and foremost, little sister wives. All right, friends, admittedly, I haven't been keeping up very much. I mean, just over the past week or so with a lot of the new stuff that's come out about Christine. And I think they even released a trailer for next season. And I'm like, hey, Fifth Wife is living it, so I don't need to see what's going on. I just haven't looked that much into very many things. However, I guess it's like a subscriber on Facebook or someone who follows me on Facebook, send me a link to go and check out Moroni Jessop's TikTok account again. I'm always over there checking out. I just haven't been lately, and Moroni had posted a new video. If you're new here and you don't know who Moroni is, I've made other videos about him. He goes by Punk Rock Polygamist. You can find him on TikTok. He makes, I think, really neat videos. A lot of them have to do with the AUB. He talks about his life in the AUB, his life as a polygamist, and his life now after having left the AUB. And he has connections and past interactions with the Brown family and, you know, some of the women from Sister Wives as well. And he also talks a little bit of information about other people that are recognizable from the Discovery Channel, like, for example, Brady Williams from My Five Wives. So he's got all of these connections, like real connections to having lived by the doctrine of the AUB, the Sister Wives Brown's former church. And there was even like a prototype documentary done about his family when TLC was first looking to start a reality show about polygamists. Apparently they trialed maybe several families, and the Browns are the ones who ended up coming out on top. So he's really interesting. You should go check him out. All right, so Moroni Jessop made a video responding to Without a Crystal Ball's video about the AUB. I hadn't watched Without a Crystal Ball in quite a while. I have nothing against that channel, except that on a personal level, it really triggers me to watch Without a Crystal Ball's content. That's just a personal thing for me. So I went back and checked her videos out, and this is what I found. Okay, so it appears that lately Without a Crystal Ball has been going pretty hardcore with videos, not just about Sister Wives. Like, she always posts a lot about Sister Wives, but she's been really taking a look at the AUB in general, the Apostolic United Brethren. This was the church that the Browns, at least at one point, were attending when the show first began. Now it's kind of up in the air if they're attending it any further. I really prefer videos that talk heavily about the background of like the AUB, polygamy, Mormonism in general. I always felt that way about Duggar content as well. I really like to know more about the IBLP. So I'm incredibly partial to when she does videos specifically examining the doctrine under which the Sister Wives, at least at one point, lived in. There's no denying that Without a Crystal Ball has a huge empire on YouTube, specifically revolving around, we can see the Duggars and Sister Wives. And apparently Moroni is someone who checks some of this information out. So Moroni Jessop, when he confronts and tries to correct the misperceptions that may be in a video that Without a Crystal Ball made, he's not only addressing Without a Crystal Ball, he's addressing maybe like channels like mine, any tabloid or like gossip site where he's trying to say like, hey, I've lived in this community, in these communities, and I would like to come out and speak more of the truth of what I've seen actually living in this community. And I really appreciate that. I mean, everybody's perceptions are also going to be different. I'm not saying you can't find someone else who also lived in the community who's going to have a very different perception than Moroni. those things happen. But Without a Crystal Ball made a video in which she was talking about blood atonement within the AUB. Without a Crystal Ball said that she had a source that told her blood atonement is a real belief and issue within the doctrine of the polygamist Cody Brown associates with. She claimed that the source said someone within the group even went as far as to CUT his own throat to atone for alleged sins he had committed. This is a pretty big deal. To allege that the AUB would pressure people or support any of its members hurting themselves in order to atone for their sins is scary, right? It's something that makes us think there's a lot more going on behind the whole sister wives persona that we've seen on TLC. Blood atonement is considered a disputed doctrine in the history of Mormonism. But let's listen to what Moroni Jessop had to say in response specifically to Without a Crystal Ball's video.
I'm always amazed at some of the information that some of the sister wives, yellow tabloid journalists post. Let me give you an example and give you a bit of a story time. One of the journalists was saying just recently, as of yesterday, that the AUB, the church that the Brown family belonged to, and the church that I used to belong to, teaches blood atonement, and that there was even an incident where someone had their neck cut. Now, first of all, you have to remember, I am not a huge fan of the AUB at all. I was excommunicated from that church. But this journalist was saying it in a way that made it appear that the AUB is still engaged in this practice, or ever engaged in this practice. There was a guy who used to belong to the AUB. He was a single guy, kind of an incel. I didn't really know him, but I remember that I went to a particular priesthood meeting where we were discussing morality. And he raised his hand to make a comment, like you do in AUB priesthood meetings. And he proceeded for 5 minutes to talk about how you can alleviate sexual pressure by laying on your back, rotating your legs, and massaging your prostate. We used to refer to this guy as the prostate guy. I never had a conversation with him, although I can picture his face in my mind. But some of my friends did. This guy used to claim that he would never shake people's hands because when he looked at people's hands, he could see ghostly, invisible worms coming out of the palms of their hands. And so my friends were always like, "Put her there." So obviously, this guy was mentally unhinged. But there was one young guy in the AUB, about my age, I was in my 20s when this happened, who showed up to early morning elders meeting, the same meeting that Cody Brown used to attend, along with me. I wasn't there that morning, but the young man had a seat and was waiting for meeting to start when prostate guy came up with a knife behind him and cut his neck. Fortunately, there were other men there who wrestled the guy to the ground, and the young man survived the attempt on his life. But this was an act of a crazy guy, and not something condoned or perpetrated by the AUB at all. Yet this tabloid person is making it seem like this is an AUB practice. Come on, stop with the fake reporting. Stop trying to sensationalize headlines for views. And get a life.
Okay, so that's Moroni Jessop speaking out first and foremost when he talks about like tabloid, gossipy sites or newspapers or whatever. He could easily be talking about me. I'm like totally aware of that. And when he says like get a life, no one needs to get a life more than me. I'm looking up like videos of lemurs all day and, pretending to be the fifth wife of Cody Brown. So in no way am I like focusing this towards the specific channel that he's talking about. what I want to do is talk about how he's bringing like some truth to a discussion that can really go off the rails, especially for me, because I love looking up gossip and I like to go down the rabbit hole. I've gone down a lot of rabbit holes that ended up not having any like validity or truth to them. And at first, you know, before I found out that it was a bunch of BS, I was really into it. So here we have Moroni, who's actually a part of this community, saying like, if you're going to use this one incident as an example of how the AUB supports blood atonement, you need to know that it did not happen the way that I guess you're assuming it did, or your source assumed it did, or maybe your source heard rumors. But, you know, I was actually involved in the situation. And from what I know about it, Moroni is saying, look, this had to do with mental health issues, like serious mental health issues. And whether you be in the AUB, you could be Catholic or atheist or Buddhist or Muslim. I live in a predominantly Muslim country right now. You could be in any of those religious groups, and you're still going to have people who belong in the community who maybe you're even trying to help or be there for, who have serious mental health issues. And and this entire video leads me to just want to say that I think it should be obvious to all of us, even as many videos as I make on here about sister wives, the AUB, all of this all of these religious shenanigans going on in many of the stories that I've been talking about on my channel. Just because one family from one group chooses to operate a certain way doesn't mean that all families from that group operate in the same manner, right? So we watch the Browns on TLC, and to be quite honest, like I don't see anything culty about them on that show other than, you know, obviously they're living the polygamous lifestyle, but they're not coming forward and talking to us about their beliefs. One big white flag that I've seen on the TLC show is the way that all of the parents have supported their kids making their own decisions. I personally haven't seen any attempt on the show to push the children towards living polygamy or maintaining a relationship with the AUB, other than Robin. Robin has spoken out about wanting to propagate her own beliefs within her own children. And that's one of the reasons why I really liked the show. And I ended up feeling like Christine Brown was my soul sister. Let me break in right here and show you this video I found of Christine Brown that made me realize like she truly is my soul sister, and she was the heart of that family. She reminds me so much of myself when I get overwhelmed. This is a video of Christine responding when her daughter and everyone around is kind of talking about how tense they feel, how worried they are about some kind of party that's going on the show. Here's what Christine does.
So mom decides to just like run around the room and scream and just be obnoxious. Weird, right? Every time it made me more stressed, you know? So if that's what you wanted. She just looks like crying. So you're gonna release the stress for her, is what you're saying. Running around the room,
I just feel like you're one of my people, you know? I get where you're coming from. Run around like a screaming banshee and just make people feel better. But look at the sister wives around Christine. This is why I feel really bad for her about her relationships with the other sister wives, because I feel like she's a little different. She's a little weird. She's a little fun. And it's like the other wives never really got her. They never really appreciated her fully. I think even Janelle, it probably took her a little while to appreciate everything, but she did come around. But definitely like Mary and Robin, they never understood Christine, especially not Robin. So yes, Christine is my spirit animal. A lemur is definitely not my spirit animal. And I really like Moroni Jessop and what he has to say about trying to spread some reality to us about what actually went on in the AUB when he was a part of it.
Okay everyone, initially there was a whole second part of this video in which I talked about how excited I was to see that Without a Crystal Ball was doing a video where she interviews a child who grew up in the AUB. Without a Crystal Ball is calling her Emily Lee, and Emily shares a lot about her childhood and some of the challenges she faced as being part of the AUB. I normally get really excited when any channel does these kinds of interviews because it's exciting to hear directly from the horse's mouth and learn more about like a culture that seems so foreign to my own upbringing. However, in the past 24 hours since I initially started working on this video, Without a Crystal Ball has made a litany of posts to her Facebook page as well as videos with countless accusations towards Christine and Janelle, as well as other members of the AUB. I really need to take some time to sift through all of this information, look at everything that she's posting, and make a more comprehensive video in response to what I feel like is somewhat of a dangerous way to deal with stories you're being told by people whose lives can really be affected by what you decide to post on your extremely large YouTube channel and Facebook page. So I hope some of you will choose to join me again tomorrow when I put out another video addressing my own opinions about how Without a Crystal Ball is reacting to Sister Wives. Thank you for joining me here tonight. Hope to see you again when I head down the next rabbit hole.